Hello, good morning, and welcome to Morning Brew on Hughes of the World. I'm the Hughes. This is the world. Hope you all feeling groovy this morning. We have in the chat, we've got Martin Harrow, we've got Sid, we've got Lost Missionary, we've got Person Impersonator, we've got Sphere Lance. We've also got Bam Blam, one Blam. Ella's in the chat as well. Viper Scott, hello, one, hello all. If you'd like to join our friendly bunch in the friendly chat here this morning, just go to subscribe, wait for a minute, and you'll be able to opine openly. It is Thursday, the 30th of April, the last day of April, 2026. Well done on making it this far. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Apologies. I have no excuse except I was faffing around getting more dirt on Farage together for this show this morning because, well, if the newspapers ain't gonna fucking cover this, and if the BBC is gonna cover it in the news section below the fold, then I guess it's up to, I don't know, someone like me to actually start firing up the claxons about this, right? Because Nigel Farage took £5 million in 2024 from Chakrit Sakunkrit, who is a Thai national, a Thai passport holder. He was born in the UK. He's known to his posh private school friends as Christopher Harborne. And Farage took this money off Christopher Harborne, and wasn't going to go into politics, right? Didn't want to stand for politics, didn't want to get involved, just wanted to let Richard Tice, his fellow multi-millionaire, run the roost. But he was basically bribed by a Thai-dwelling billionaire, a guy who makes his money through helping fund the Russian war machine that is murdering innocent men, women, and children from Europe every fucking day. So Farage has been referred to the standards watchdog, and it's the same financial ecosystem that pays Christopher Harborne, that gives him the money that he's got to give £5 million to Nigel Farage to run for office in this country. So he can get Farage in, so then Putin can have another friendly fuck, another friendly nepo baby, another friendly privately educated, thick as fuck, sleazy motherfucker in a position of power somewhere in the world. This donor, let me be clear, has been linked by investigators to sanctions evasion tied to the Russian war machine that is crushing Europeans. The racist wankers who vote for Farage, and let's not call them refuck anymore, let's just say Farage, because that's what it is. It is a vehicle for Farage. It is a vanity project for Farage. They want Farage in. They don't give a fuck about any of the other people. That's why they don't vet them properly. They don't actually bother looking at what they've written on social media over the years. But the same small-minded, racist little fucks that vote for Farage, whether it's for UKIP or the Brexit Party or Brexit or now it's refuck, they are helping give power to Vladimir Putin to employ people from North Korea and North Africa to come to Europe and slaughter Europeans. Kill them in their beds. So that's happening. £5 million gift. Did you pay any tax on it? Probably not. It's a gift, isn't it? A personal, unconditional gift, according to Farage. He said it was a personal, unconditional gift. He got this gift a couple months before he decided to come back into politics. I mean, if you can't see a quid pro quo there, then I don't know. Maybe get to Specsavers. Nothing to see here. Just a casual multi-million-pound transaction between old school chums. God, I thought it was so fucking sanctimonious, those Tory fucks yesterday in PMQs talking about the chumocracy, the Labour chumocracy. And I'm like, no one in the cabinet, apart from Keir Starmer, whose school became private while he was there, but none of them went to private school. All the fucking Tories did. All of them. Unbe-fucking-lievable. And yet these mealy-mouthed motherfuckers who vote for Trump, vote for Farage in this country, they will chortle his balls no matter what. No matter, I mean, these are racists who are like happy that people are coming from Africa and literally murdering Europeans on European soil. Now, I've got no problem with immigration. I've got no problem with people coming from other countries to work. People coming from other countries to kill us Europeans? No, fuck off. Don't forget, Nigel Farage, effectively, if you think about this, for where the money came from, it came from the cryptocurrency exchange, that is, or is it exchange, whatever it is, that Christopher Harborne owns, right? Or has a massive stake in. Loads of that is being used to launder filthy Russian blood money so they can buy more weapons. And Christopher Harborne takes a cut of that because he's a fucking scumbag. And from that cut of billions, he gives millions to Nigel Farage. And people will still vote for him. People will still vote. Even after this, people will be like, yeah, he's the guy for me. He's the guy I want looking after my kids. Really? Really? Fucking bog-faced fucking ashtray. He called it a personal and conditional gift. He got it in May 2024. In late May 2024, so a couple of years ago, Farage put out a public statement saying he was not going to stand as an MP, as a candidate to become an MP. Within weeks of receiving that £5 million, he is suddenly standing. And we are led to believe that the biggest financial windfall of Nigel Farage's life has absolutely no bearing on a life-changing political decision. I mean, if that's what you believe, I mean, there's nothing down for you. I'm sorry you didn't do well in school. I'm sorry you didn't pay attention. I'm sorry life's not turned out the way you wanted it to because you're too thick to tie your own fucking shoelaces. But can you stop voting? Just stop. I'm not going to ask you to vote for Labour or the Greens or the Lib Dems. I just don't vote at all. You're too stupid to vote. Stop it. You're thick as pig shit. Just sit in your own shit. Sit on the couch. Fucking play your PlayStation. Play Call of Duty or whatever and shit yourself to death. I don't give a fuck. Why are people still voting for this guy? Making money out the suffering of people in this continent. Children in Ukraine. Do you know how many children have been fucking kidnapped from Ukraine by the Russians? Over 20,000. 20,000 children kidnapped from eastern Ukraine by the Russians to bring them up in Russia as Russians. You know, like what they used to do to the Aboriginal children in Australia in the Stolen Generations, like they used to do the First Nations in children in Canada. Many of whom ended up in early graves after being abused. Trigger warning, you know what I mean by that. 20,000 European children kidnapped, taken to Asia for God knows what. Well, we do know what, actually, because it's happened time and time again in history to bring them up as Russian. But, I mean, Nigel Farage assumes that everyone who votes for him is a fucking idiot. Trump does this as well. And the painful thing is they're right. They are absolutely 100% on the fucking money. They are thick as pig shit. If you are voting for Nigel Farage, you are either incredibly rich or you're incredibly stupid. They're the only two possible reasons to vote for that disgusting, bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance. And if you're not sure which one you are, check your bank account. And because he's got all the newspapers, he's got all the news sites, he's got all the fucking GB News gobshite, all his old school friends fucking barracking for him in the background. This isn't the big story that it should be. £5 million. Think about like the fucking hoo-ha about Keir Starmer having a fucking beer. Think about the hoo-ha over Angela Rayner not paying £30,000 of stamp duty. I'll think about the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. What happened with her? She got a company in. She got a house letting company or whatever the fuck it is to rent out a property she owned, and they didn't fill out the form correctly, and it was front page news. Meanwhile, Farage gets £5 million from a guy who makes his money from the Russian war machine. And he goes into politics off the back of it. That was his big comeback. It wasn't because he wanted to save Britain. It's because he wanted to feather his nest. There is a through line here. Trump, Farage, Bolsonaro, Erdogan, that fucking arsehole in the Philippines. What's his name? Duterte. They all go in it for the money. They're in it for the money. Look at a politician. I don't care whether they're left or right or in the centre or whatever, on the fucking moon. Just look at their motivations. Why are they going into politics? If the answer is to try and make things better for people in this country, then fine, right? If that's their motivation, even if they're a fucking Tory, right? But here's the thing. If you're in refuck, you're just in it for the money. Because you're following Nigel Farage, who's just in it for the money. They just want money. Farage has made over £2 million in his first year as an MP. £2 million. And that's what he declared. Obviously, he doesn't declare everything. Hence this £5 million gift. Who gets a £5 million gift? The corruption here is such a fucking stink. You could smell it from Earth on the surface of the fucking moon. It is absolutely fucking rank. Almost as rank as Nigel Farage's fucking disgusting, ruptured fucking spleen of a face. I genuinely hope bad things happen to him. I know you're not supposed to do that, especially online, but fuck me. He is a grotesque human being. A man who has profited from the misery and the slaughter and the torture of civilians in our continent, in our neck of the woods. I assume that, the refuck voters don't care about people from Ukraine. Are they not white enough? Fucking revolting fucking people. The people that vote for Farage and all the people around Farage. It's just, all of them are grotesque. All of them are absolutely grotesque. Sarah Puchin standing up in Parliament going, "Oh God, there's the people from other countries coming here." Sarah Puchin, privately educated, gets to represent fucking Runcorn and Helsby. You know, that very posh area of the world. She's not asked about people coming over from Asia and kidnapping 20,000 children. That doesn't get mentioned. What's wrong, Sarah? They're not white enough for you. Is that the problem? Because I've been to Ukraine. Pretty fucking white over there, you know? You gotta run around being the fucking patron saint of Caucasians. Some mad fucking KKK twat. But no, these people, hypocrisy knows no bounds. Their greed, their grift knows no fucking bounds. Talking of money, I'm going to set a super chat goal. There you go. Graham, to be honest, will anything happen? Thank you very much to Viper Scott there for the super chat, first super chat of the day. This is the last day of the month that we can get super chats for this month. And look, this is my fault because I have been moving around shows and I've not been as well. I've been quite active online. I've been doing a lot of shows, but there was a bit of an adjustment period. I got back. It was the Easter holidays. The kids are off school, so my apologies. But today is the last day of the month, and the way it works on YouTube is you get paid at the end of the next month. So I've got a little bit of money coming in for the end of next month. So if I can make some money today through super chats or whatever. So if anyone in Thailand who's linked to some I don't know, Russian war machine in some way who allows the Russians to bypass the sanctions that have been put on them by all the other fucking countries in the world. If you want to, if you want to give me £5 million, that'd be great. Go on, just drop it in the super chat fund. Go on. I don't know if it goes up to 5 million, but if it does, that'd be great. We'll call it a gift, and I'll be your bitch. What do you want? What do you want me to do? 5 million? I'll fucking pretty much do anything. That'd be great. And pay off all my debts, I do up my island, turn it into a fucking amazing eco retreat for warriors of woke. People fly over there for free and just have a really nice time and take 2 weeks off to digitally detox from the fucking rest of the fucking planet. Yeah, come on, 5 million. I'm waiting. I don't think I'm going to get it. This is how you know whether someone is legit or not, as far as I'm concerned. I do get a bit antsy when even people that I disagree with on the left, right, when they're called grifters, because I just look at what they're doing and being like, look, they've obviously got a platform. They're obviously quite talented. They can obviously talk, right? Gift of the gab and all that, right? There's a little bit of riz, whatever it is that you need to make that to get to that position, right? Or they might have gone to private school. I don't know. But if you are going to make a fuckload of money out of politics, you're going to be on the right. You're going to be on the right every fucking time because there's no money on the left. There is literally no fucking money. There's no billionaire. There's no billionaire living in fucking Thailand doling out £1 million fucking bursaries to young and upcoming YouTubers who want to talk about making the world a better place. Nah. If you want to talk about how great oil is and how we should be dependent on oil and we should hook oil into our fucking veins and dance around like fucking Baron Harkonnen on a fucking hover fucking board or whatever he's got up his arse. Yeah, fine. We'll give you the money. Here you go. Fucking big novelty check for as much money as you can fucking possibly fucking imagine. These fucking oil companies funding transphobia. Yeah. But yeah. So back to Farage, unfortunately. I'm going to have to finish off talking about him. Fucking parliamentary rules are crystal clear on this matter, right? They need to declare relevant financial benefits received within 12 months of becoming an MP. Farage didn't. He did not declare £5 million that had come from Sakunkrit, this guy in fucking Thailand, who runs a crypto fucking scheme, a crypto pyramid scheme that allows the Russians to circumvent the sanctions that have been put on it. So it's supposed to not be able to buy all the weapons and bombs and tanks and missiles and drones that it is using every day to kill Ukrainian civilians. To raise the entire city of Mariupol to the fucking ground. A couple of years ago when we had refugees living here with us, they were from Mariupol, a mother and a daughter, and both of them were just beyond traumatized. One of the young people that I took from the border with Ukraine back in the March of 2022 to their family in Germany. The young girl, she was only 15 years old, and she showed me footage on her phone she was from Kherson, and she showed me footage of what the Russians had done in Kherson. Kherson got liberated. She got out. She managed to get out because they let the children out. So she had to leave her parents, her dad, behind. And she had to leave Kherson on a bus full of children. And she had on her phone footage that she had filmed of dead bodies on the stairs up in the town hall in Kherson. And I was just like, fucking hell. It's one of the most horrific, traumatic things that I've ever seen on a phone because I knew it was real. She saw it in real life. The Russians did that. The Russians who were using Christopher Harborne's fucking crypto fucking empire in order to get around the sanctions so they can do more of that kind of shit. When I say Nigel Farage is the biggest fucking scumbag this country has ever produced, I am not fucking around. He is evil. He is genuinely evil. And yeah, people are like, oh, he's got the right idea because he says he doesn't like people from other countries. We're called England, you daft twats. England, okay? England. What does that even fucking mean? It means land of the foreigners, land of the immigrants. Because I'll tell you this, the Anglo-Saxons were from the North Germany, South Denmark. Yeah, that area. Yeah, over there. Yeah, some other place. They weren't from here. They settled here. I don't think the original Scots were from Scotland, actually. I think they're from Ireland. I'm not sure. Someone will have to let me know. To get Dizz's Confetti fix started, thank you very much, Viper Scott. £2 super chat there. It's all good. Mario Paul was nightmare fuel. Yeah. Oliver, I don't think the mangrove trees are sturdy enough. What's this? What were we talking about? You can make a tree village on the island like the Ewoks in Star Wars with that type of money. Yeah, I'll have to wait for the trees to grow. Although the trees go really fucking quick over there. You know, you can plant a fucking twig and you come back like a year later. It's like a fully grown tree, and you're like, fucking hell, that's amazing. Yeah, the mangroves. Actually, mangroves are pretty fucking sturdy beasts, but that would be way out of bounds for the environmental considerations. They take the protection of the mangroves very, very seriously. Like you're not allowed to cut down your mangroves. You're not supposed to even prune them and take lower branches off. Scotland is Irish and Vikings. Well, there you go. Yep, Irish picks. Yep, Graham. Bloody beaker people coming over here to help us drink from a cup. Can't they just slick it up like a cat? Bloody beaker people. Channeling Stuart Lee there like that. Thank you very much, Captain Coconut. So when you become an MP, you're supposed to declare relevant financial benefits within 12 months of becoming received within 12 months of becoming an MP, right? And Farage didn't, right? He didn't think it was relevant. He didn't think it was relevant. He was given 5 times more than most people earn in their entire fucking lifetime off a guy a couple of months before running for MP, as MP for Clacton, which he never goes to. His defence hinges on the idea that this donation was purely personal. A £5 million payout to a man about to enter Parliament from his biggest political backer, completely unrelated to politics. Even, its critics across parties agree this should have been declared. He's been referred to the Standards Commissioner, and this isn't the real issue here. Isn't whether he broke the rules. Obviously, he fucking did, but it's about whether he thinks the rules apply to him at all. And there's a through line here on my constant theme, the drum I keep on fucking banging, is that when kids are sent off to these cunt farms, posh borstalls, private schools, right? They are taught in these schools, not the national curriculum. You've got to understand that. They don't have to be taught by teachers who actually have qualifications. They have to be taught the national curriculum. They do not have to, they do not have to even do the same exams as state school kids have to do, and they can be taught from the age of 11 or 13 or whatever it is, just to pass the exams, just to say the right thing, write the right thing to pass the exams. It's so fucking slanted towards the benefit of these people who will then end up making up 38% of the intake for, say, the University of Durham here in Durham, which is otherwise quite a working class city, except for all the very, very posh kids who come over from, all over the country because they slipped a grade in their A-levels. Didn't quite get into Oxbridge. Oh, sad. But these schools, all they seem to teach, and I know not everyone who went to private school is a wrong un, and I've got friends who went to private school, clearly, and I don't hate them. I don't think they're bad people at all, right? Just as a little disclaimer there. But these schools seem to teach one overriding message to the kids who are sent to them by their incredibly rich parents. They are taught that the rules for everybody else who didn't go to private schools, those rules do not apply to them. Those rules apply to everybody else, Rules for thee, but not for me. And we see this time and time again. And you give me one example of someone who went to private school who turned out to be all right, and I can give you 100 examples of people who went to private school who are fucking arsehole. Farage level of arsehole. We are run by an old boys club in this country. People talk about the Masons and the Illuminati and the New World Order and all this bullshit, right? Do you know what the reality is? It's an old boys club. Because it's not what you know, it's not who you know. It's what you know about who you know. And if you went to boarding school with them, fuck the stories you'll have. Usually involving biscuits. Sid, thank you very much. So the £2 super chat, my contribution towards the 5 million. Yes, that is fucking fantastic. Thank you so much to Sid and also to Alistair. Now we only need another £4,999,996 in order to achieve our goal. Sorry, £994. Get it right, Graham. So if anyone wants to drop £4,999,994 in the super chat fund, I will be eternally grateful. And if you want me to stand as an MP for the Monster Raven Looney Party in the next election, I will. I'll just fucking stand. I'm not standing for refuck though. I'm not that crazy. I do have a price. I do have a price, but not 5 million wouldn't cover that. Can I have all the money in the world so I can redistribute it fairly amongst the people of the world? Then yeah, okay, I'll stand as a fucking refucker. Until that moment, no fucking way. Parliamentary Standards Commissioner David Greenberg, private school alumni, school London, City School London. Yeah, of course. And the people in charge of Ofsted. So these private schools, they don't need to be inspected by Ofsted. I know Labour changed the rules on this recently, but up till quite recently, they didn't have to have teachers who were qualified, teachers who had a DBS check. That wasn't necessary, right? So teachers who were paedophiles could be sent from one school to the next to fuck up some more children, and then they'll go to another school and then do the same thing. You moved around like priests in the Catholic Church in the 80s, yeah? That happened. But yeah, so they didn't have to follow the national curriculum and didn't have to be inspected by Ofsted. Qualifications, curriculum, Ofsted. Didn't have to pay tax, capital gains tax, didn't have to pay fucking tax. One of the things that really gets me is because these bullshit fucking institutions claim to be charities, like charities for billionaires. What the fuck? For the crotch spawn, the sex trophies of billionaires. Okay, cool. They get these massive tax rebates on stuff because they're essentially a charity, but they've got to spend that money, the money that they would have spent on tax, they've got to spend it on other stuff. So they spend it on musical instruments for the children of billionaires. That's why these private schools have got such great brass bands and orchestras. They spend it on sporting equipment, golf clubs, so the kids can play on the golf course. Spend it on rowing equipment, so they can row down the river, or the river that runs through the school. Motherfucking Hogwarts. And that's money that should have gone to the Chancellor. I would have done if the private schools were run as businesses. It's funny that, isn't it? The motherfuckers who went to these private schools want to privatise everything except the private schools. They're not really private. No. We need these massive subsidies effectively from the government. They found that only 1% of the money that is avoided by these institutions, 1% of the money is avoided by these institutions that they should be paying in tax, but they obviously are a charity, so they don't pay tax as long as they can make up the shortfall of whatever it is they're supposed to be paying the exchequer. Instead of it going to the exchequer, the idea is it goes to needy children. Only 1% of that money across all private schools goes to full bursaries. And what do I mean by full bursary? I mean literally giving a kid from, I don't know, Bootle or Novice Green or something, paying for their tuition for the whole time that they're in school. 1%, 1 in 100. So you think about the private schools in this country, 99% of the kids who go to those private schools are rich kids who can completely afford the fees, or grasping upper middle class kids whose parents pay for half, and then the other half is topped up by you, the taxpayer, through money that should be going to the exchequer but isn't. Because the private schools, I like that money, I'm going to keep it for myself. And they're whinging about having to pay fucking VAT. Oh, we're having to close down because we had to pay VAT. Fuck off. Fees for private schools have fucking doubled in the last few years. And now they're saying, oh, but VAT's got to finish us off. No, it's fucking not. No, it's not. Because anyone with any fucking sense looks at, anyone with any sense who doesn't really like their kids can look at this situation and go, well, if I want my kids to be a cash cow in the future, put them in the private school. Because even if they're absolutely middling, even if they're really, really fucking mediocre, even if they're painfully shit at everything, doesn't matter. They'll fall on their feet. They went to private school. And case in point, Matt Hancock. Ladies and gentlemen, I present for my case for the prosecution, I present my witness, Matt Hancock. It's just a picture of him. I don't need him to take the stand. I don't need him to talk. That's all I need to say. That motherfucker led to the deaths of tens of thousands of British citizens during COVID. War heroes, actual motherfucking war heroes who died in their nursing homes because fucking he didn't know what he was doing. Matt Hancock did not know what he was doing. He effectively flung the corpses of the diseased, of the plague-ridden dead, over the fucking parapets into these old folks' homes. He took people who had COVID out of hospital and put them in old folks' homes. When we knew that the people who were dying at the highest rate from COVID were old people. Not kids, not the young, old people. And he fucking did that. Failing upwards every fucking step of the every fucking way. George only, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. That's kind of cool. Thank you. I keep saying this: authoritarians and the far right and criminality are two cheeks of the same arse. Funny how I never get any pushback on this. Yeah, because you're absolutely right, mate. You're absolutely right. Gillian, been watching Yesminster Prime Minister. Nothing seems much to have changed except for hereditary peerages. Yeah, the hereditary peers had their last hurrah yesterday. Parliament, this session of Parliament came to an end yesterday. Parliament will be back on May the 17th with a whole new agenda of stuff that Labour will want to do, which will be in the King's Speech. So we'll see. We will see. So thanks very much to George only and to Gillian Hope. That's very kind of you. Let's go back to Farage on this money. He's got 5 million because we can't not go on about this. And I'm going to be fucking banging the drum about this every time someone mentions Farage. I'll be like, what about that 5 million he was given from that guy in Thailand? Who made the money from, Russia, from laundering Russian money. I mean, fucking hell. If he had been laundering drugs money, which he probably might be, I don't know, because no one knows that cryptocurrency is pretty much fucking untraceable. That's why criminals fucking love it. Criminals and the manosphere fucking love crypto, don't they? Trump loves crypto. Fucking Farage loves crypto. Because it's unregulated. So they can take money from drug dealers. They take money from people traffickers, sex traffickers. They can take money from people who make child abuse imagery and use that money to feather their own nests. And they're quite happy to do that. No matter how debauched the crime is that has resulted in that money, crypto's there for them, innit? Isn't it? I fucking hate crypto. I think it should be fucking banned. Completely. Not just out of politics, but just out of the everyday life. And if you use crypto, if you're found to have used crypto in this country, you should be put in fucking jail. That's it. If you've got some crypto, fucking sell it. Try and invest in something nice. Instead of investing in crime, instead of investing in drugs, instead of investing in war and the exploitation of children, the sexual exploitation of children, why don't you give your money to something that does nice things? Like, I don't know, buy yourself a fucking tree and plant it, for Christ's sake. Anyway, there's cover-up vibes going on now. We've got lawyers and going on. We've got delays, got media spin. When journalists have asked questions about this 5 million, he's not giving any answers. He's just defer people to his lawyers. And then suddenly a friendly outlet, which is the Telegraph, of course, gets an exclusive where Farage controls the narrative. And this is a classic Farageist, Trumpist playbook. You stall, you spin, you reframe, you muddy the waters. If everything is above board, why is Farage behaving like someone desperately trying to get ahead of a damaging story? We're going to stop there for a moment. Take a pause, take a deep breath, because It's confetti time. Thank you very much to Alistair there for the £2 super chat. That is very, very kind of you. And it gives me great pleasure, my friends, ladies and gents, to say 3, 2, 1, confetti. Woo! Yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. It's for Diz. Thank you. Thank you very much to everyone who's dropped in some of the old super chats. Some of the old super chats there. It's very candy. Very candy. Very, very candy. Okay, so now, after being questioned about this, right, Farage is now claiming that the money was for personal security. And this explanation only appeared after journalists started digging. The timeline doesn't line up neatly because he has access to publicly funded security as an MP. Did he need the 5 million for the 2 months before he became an MP to keep him safe from milkshakes? With all the milkshakes coming to get him, 5 million for security. That's not security. £5 million. I wish you could get across how much money this is. If it was 50 grand, it would be horrific. If it was £500,000, it would be horrific. £500,000. That's enough to buy a house anywhere in the country. You can have a house anywhere in the country, even in London, for 500,000. It'd be a small house in London, but you could. You could buy 10 fucking houses. This motherfucker in fucking Thailand gave this guy fucking 10 houses, the equivalent of 10 houses, the money worth. I mean, realistically, you can get houses for 250,000. So let's say 20. Say 20 fucking houses. Here you go, mate. Have 20 houses. What did you get off your mate? 20 houses. You got what? I got 20 houses. 20 fucking houses, yeah? All with brand new bathrooms and kitchens and a nice little fucking garden out the back. 20,000. Sorry, 20, not 20,000 houses. 20 houses worth of money. Just let that marinate for a little moment. So this guy, Chakrit Sakunkrit, a guy who has a Thai passport, lives in Thai. Why would you live in Thai? But why would a guy who was a Westerner who went to posh private school in this country, why would they live in Thailand? I just don't know. Oh, sorry. What a revolting fucking individual. What an absolutely piss poor fucking excuse. Sorry, excuse for a human. Don't forget, on top of the 20 houses that this motherfucker bought for his friend Nigel Farage, he's also given 11 million to refuck. A foreign donation of 11 million pounds to refuck. To spend on paying people to give out their fucking flyers, to put up flags off way up fucking lampposts all over the country, to do all the fucking horrible shit that these motherfuckers do behind the scenes to get all of the GB News and the Telegraph and the Mail and the Express and all these cunts, get them all on board. I'm sorry to swear, but I fucking hate them. And I fucking hate that people like you and I fucking fall for this shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can rail as much as I like about the fact that these people are thick as pig shit, because obviously they are, unless they're billionaires themselves. But it's really dispiriting. I have genuinely a kind of a faith in humanity. I really do. But shit like this, when you see thousands and thousands of people, millions of people, next week, are gonna vote for Nigel Farage's fucking cunt party. They're going to vote for the party funded by a guy who gets his money from the Russian war machine. Nuclear-proof bunker in Pontefract sold for 29,000 in 2004. 5 million buys a lot more than security. Yeah. Does he still bank with Coots? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. He managed to get rid of the chief exec of Coots, but now he's definitely got enough money, because you need at least 3 million or something. He dipped below it. He didn't have enough money coming in and out of his account. I think he had enough money just as a one-off, but you've got to have a certain amount of money coming in and out of your accounts each month to have a Coots bank account. Coots, the bank for cunts. With 2 T's. Is Fartface going to be on Question Time prior to his election to promote his party? I don't know. Maybe we should do Quagglebox tonight. Oh, I can't. I'm going to a gig. Sorry. But yes. No, Diz, in the end, I threatened to put it on the market and suddenly things sped up. Ooh. Yeah. Did he get that security figure from Prince Harry? 5 million for security for 2 months until he became an MP. That's what he's saying now. So let's talk about Harborne for a second. Christopher Harborne, privately educated, of course. He has a major stake in Tether, one of the world's biggest cryptocurrencies. And the investigators, including the UK's National Crime Agency, have found that crypto networks using Tether have been involved in sanctions evasion, money laundering at what's been called an industrial scale, and financial flows tied directly to Russia's military industrial base. I have to say, for the lawyers, there's no evidence that Harborne personally ran those schemes, but he profits from a system that has been explicitly linked to them. And then Farage is taking money from the man who profited from these schemes. So you support Farage, you're supporting the Russian war machine. You're giving Russia more money to buy people, to buy soldiers from North Africa, from North Korea, wherever they can find them. 2,000 soldiers dead from North Korea, buried in North Korea. 2,000. There was a big ceremony. They're being fed into the war machine, and their job is to try and kill Europeans. If you want to put a racial dimension to this, as a lot of the racists who vote for refuck want to do on everything, there's your racial dimension. You're literally paying for people from Africa to come to Europe to murder Europeans. You're funding it by helping Farage get more money, more power, more councils they're in charge of. £5 million. And since February 2028, the Russian war effort has absolutely 100% depended on dodging sanctions and accessing global financial networks. And the way it does that is through crypto, especially stable coins like Tether. They've been a key workaround for Russia to continue its war, to continue its campaign of sadism and butchery. 20,000 children, European children, kidnapped and taken to Russia to be raised Russian. The stolen generations in Australia and Canada, two of the biggest crimes of the 20th century, and that's saying a lot. This is one of the biggest crimes of the 21st century, and Farage has a direct through line to it. That 5 million, a proportion of it, is blood money from Russia. End of. So, a financial system that's linked to sanctions evasion, connected to networks supporting Russia's war efforts, is part of a wealth pool that is funding a British politician who wants to be our Prime Minister. And what Farage sells, patriotism, sovereignty, standing up for Britain, we're seeing this fucker taking millions from a shadowy offshore billionaire, operating in opaque financial networks, dodging transparency, not telling anyone, not declaring this stuff, that 5 million slipped my mind. Imagine if someone gave you £5 million and then you tried to explain to the fucking tax man that it just slipped your mind. Good luck with that. Where is everyone else? Where's everyone else talking about this? This should be front page, wall-to-wall coverage. If it was Keir Starmer, could you imagine? Could you imagine if it was Angela Rayner or Rachel Reeves? Could you imagine if this was Ed Davey? Could you imagine what people would be saying? What if this was Zach Polanski? What if it turned out that Zach Polanski had been paid £5 million by, I don't know, the military fucking militia that is the RSF in Sudan, which is going around butchering women and children in Darfur right now. And he got £5 million from them. Indirectly, but he got £5 million paid to Zach Balansky Incorporated. Don't forget, Refuck is a limited company. It's nice having a limited company. It means that if your company goes tits up, owing the taxman millions of pounds, you don't have to pay it yourself. And you don't go to jail. It's nice, isn't it? This should be wall-to-wall coverage, but instead it's been underplayed. It's treated like another Westminster curiosity. You know, just imagine a Green did this. Just imagine someone from Labour did this. £5 million from an offshore billionaire who makes his money, a large chunk of it, from allowing a country that is at war with our continent to evade sanctions. A country run by fucking Nazis. A country where the leader told two fellas to come to our country and murder a political rival. Well, I mean, the Scripples weren't even a political rival, just someone who had upset him, someone who had said things that Putin didn't like, to put it frankly. And in the process, they managed to kill a British citizen, Dawn Sturgis, whose name hardly ever comes up in these conversations. And we also need to talk about MH17, the flight that was shot down by a Russian rocket, with 300 innocent people on board. Murdered, butchered, blown out the sky. Do you remember Lockerbie? I do. Lockerbie was horrific. Turned out there was a state-sanctioned actor behind it, working for Gaddafi, working for the Libyan regime. It was all over the news for weeks, months, years afterwards. Lockerbie, synonymous with that tragedy. The plane landed on a village in Scotland. And yet MH17 hardly gets mentioned. It's blown out the sky by a Russian rocket. And Russia seems to have got away with it. They got away with killing a British citizen. They got away with invading Ukraine, killing over 12,000 Ukrainian civilians so far, kidnapping 20,000 children. Got away with it. And now they want their proxies in political positions all over the world, whether it's in Bulgaria, whether it's in Hungary, or Italy, or the United States of America, or this country. The silence of the media on this tells you everything. They're downplaying it. You know, you look at them, we talk about media priorities, about who gets scrutinized and who gets a free pass. And, you know, this is a system that we have where billionaires, foreign-based offshore billionaires, can inject huge sums into politics. They can own entire media empires that run TV stations, that run newspapers, that run magazines, pumping out government propaganda or far-right propaganda or whatever. And those institutions can make a fucking massive loss. They don't care. Newspapers make a loss. GB News has never made a profit. It will never make a profit. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to get their message out there. Everything I don't like is woke. Transparency is weak or ignored. Enforcement is fucking non-existent. Yeah, the water companies mark their own homework. Private schools don't have to have an Ofsted inspection. You know, the Ofcom, they say, oh, we're going to write a strongly worded letter to GB News for breaking the rules for the umpteenth time. Well done. And then you look at who's in charge of Ofcom. Someone who went to a private school. You look at who's in charge of Ofsted. Someone who went to a private school. You look in charge of Ofwat. Someone who went to private school. Paula Reynolds was in charge of the fucking post office scandal. She went to private school. Because of course she did. You don't get anywhere in this life, in this country, on this fucking godforsaken island, unless you have rich parents. And then all the doors are open to you, no matter how mediocre you are. And I don't think people are angry enough about this. You have people who didn't go to private school, whose kids don't go to private school, who will defend private schools for some fucking reason. Because that's how cooked we are in this country. We're like, oh, we need to think of the children, you know? What if all these children who go to private schools? What if, the 7% of children who go to private schools? What if they all start going to state schools? The state schools won't be big enough. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. They're closing down schools all over the country because there's less children than ever before. We don't need as many kids. Sorry, we don't need as many kids. We don't need as many schools. We don't need as many classrooms. If you close down all these motherfucking private schools and you make it illegal to homeschool your children, which I think should be illegal. I'm sorry. I don't care. There's going to be someone watching this going, but I homeschool my kids and they turned out great. Don't care. It just opens up the avenue for abuse too much. For other people, not for you. Obviously, you were the greatest tutor that ever lived. But if you want to abuse your children and you don't want anyone to find out about it, you're going to homeschool them. End of. Because they're not going to school with bruises. They're not going to school and having a quiet conversation with a teacher or a counsellor. Someone who does pastoral care. What will happen is you'll have kids, the children of millionaires and billionaires, going to school with kids who grow up in the council estates. So, what comes from that? First of all, mixing. These posh people never meet anyone like you or me. They never meet anyone except, when they're walking past shaking our hands. Well, we'll bow in fucking deference to these motherfuckers, right? Because we're idiots. They don't live our lives. They've never had to worry about money. They've never had to scrabble around the back of the couch to find the 20p to put in the fucking meter to put the lecky back on. They've never driven down the dock road looking for pallets to burn. Which shouldn't burn because they've got chemicals in, which are really bad for you. But, you got to keep warm somehow. In your flat that doesn't have any central heating because landlords can get away with murder, can't they? So, yeah. What else would happen? What else would be a knock-on effect of these children of millionaires and billionaires going to state schools? You would have a millionaire on the PTA. You might have a billionaire on the board of governors because the kid goes to the school. What are they going to want to do? They're going to make the school be as good as possible. So instead of schools having to scrabble around doing cake sales and fun runs and things to raise a little bit of money for the school, one person on the PTA could go, it's all right, I'll just write you a check for £50,000. There you go. Not that fun runs aren't fun. And, I'll do like a bake sale. But these private schools, don't forget, Rishi Sunak, one of the richest men, not just in this country, but in the world, who was our Prime Minister. While he was Prime Minister, he gave a huge amount of money to a school. His old school. Westminster School. Which is a private school. And he gave, 2 million, was it? He gave a fucking huge sum of money to this school. Imagine how that had been a state school. Imagine how they could have turned things around with that kind of money. Give the kids the education, the care, the attention that they deserve. Shut down the private schools. Burn the fuckers down. Just burn them to the ground. I don't give a fuck. I mean, let the kids out first. I'm not a monster. But bloody hell. This needs to be looked at because I'm fed up of every time we talk about a fucking news story about someone in the public eye doing something fucking horrible. I have to say privately educated, of course. Privately educated. Privately educated. Private. I know you're sick of me saying it. I should have a little pop-up that says, and here we go again. But the system that we have produces Farages. And when Farage is gone and long gone and in the ground, pushing up the daisies, joined the choir invisible, shuffled off this mortal coil, there'll be another one. There'll be another fucking spiv, braying with his pint of lager and his fag, cigarette. Sorry, God, just demonetized the show. Shit. Sorry, YouTube. It means something different in my country. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kongian dollars. Not everyone in Asia is a mole, Graham. I can't give you 5 million, but here are a few dollars for you at the end of the month. Thanks very much. Oh my God. David, no, absolutely. 100%. I would never say that everyone in Asia is immoral. No. What I'm trying to do, probably clumsily, is tap in to the nativist narrative of the refuck fuckers, the people who vote for Nigel Farage, right? And trying to get through to them in some way that they're worried about white replacement, which is bullshit, but whatever, right? If that's what keeps them up at night, surely they should be a little bit worried about people coming from other continents to Europe to, take people out. I'm sorry, but some of the nicest people I have ever met were Asian, were from the continent of Asia. Some of the most beautiful people, some of the most kindest people, the most generous people. I have no truck at all. And also Africa, and also Europe, and also North America, and South America, and Central America, and Oceania, and Caribbean, and everywhere else on the fucking planet. Australia. So there's lovely people everywhere. So no, I'll never write off an entire country. I'll never write off an entire fucking continent. And although I have my own particular problem with Russia at the moment because Putin is still in charge, I do have hope that one day that motherfucker will be gone, and maybe Russia could take its first tentative steps towards a government that is democratic and not corrupt as fuck. Because the problem is, since the days of Peter the Great in the early 1700s, Russia has been led by a tyrannical group of criminals who want to fuck everything and fuck everyone for their own enrichment. They've had little interregnal periods where they've tried to do better, and some people have gone into politics because they actually wanted to make the world a better place, but the vast majority of them are just in it for the fucking money. We had a former private school pupil join us. She just hung around with the upper middle class kids, says Diz. Yeah. A friend has a child in private school and told me how one parent would travel to school by helicopter for sports day. Farage's smoking habit is ruining his health. You can tell this listening to him when he inhales. Well, come on, cigarette. Do your thing. I think it's 1 in every 2 people who smoke will die from the smoking. Cigarettes, the only thing you can buy in a shop legally that kills you if you use it correctly. Isn't that mad? It kills you if you use it correctly. Mad. I dated a kid who went to private school. They were different in that they were quite entitled compared with normal folk. Yeah, they think the rules don't apply to them. Entitlement. That's what they're taught in these schools more than anything else, more than history, geography, the fucking spinning Jenny, Jethro Tull. They are taught that they are special and they're just better than everyone else. And the rest of us are we're clobbered down at every fucking step, told we're not special, we're not great, we can't do anything, everything we do is a bit shit. And they do. These private school kids, they do the absolute fucking minimum, and they get a fucking medal for it. Do you know what I mean? And then they sneer. There's a lot of sneering that goes on in that class, and then they accuse us of sneering at them, and they accuse us of the politics of envy. I was on Alex's show last year, wasn't I? And there was one show, and it was me and 3 people who all went to private school. I'm not having a dig at Alex because he's lovely, but I was the only state school kid. And one of the guests kept on saying politics of envy. Everything I said, politics, that's the politics of envy. That's the politics of envy, that is. We're going to send our eldest to private school. My partner worked in because of the discount. It changed to academy the year he was due to start. Well, that's good. That changed to academy. Last posh twat who tried to make me feel lower than him got to made feel smaller than me. I shout very loud indeed and got very venomous with me put downs. Okay. One angry pagan. Do you have an anger management problem by any chance? Oh, you call one angry pagan? Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Dragons Marine. At my public high school, the teachers drove Volkswagens and the kids drove the Porsche. You could eat the false entitlement. The teachers drove Volkswagens and the kids drove Porsches. Fucking crazy, innit? But yeah, I do think that this is systemic because of the rise of Farage'S politics. But I mean, this has been going on for ages. We've seen this in the Tory party. They were taking huge donations. You had the Conservative Friends of Russia. Anyone? But politics has become a playground for the moneyed elite and for moneyed influence. And while transparency rules are weak and ignored, while enforcement is slow and reactive, you know, it's not pursuing these motherfuckers like it should be to make sure that everything's above board. It just waits until a journalist does their job for a change and actually says, "Hey, what about this?" And they're like, "Oh, didn't know about that." There's no proactivity about this at all. It's not like the HMRC where they'll actually put you under an audit if they're a bit worried about where your money's coming from. And the key questions to hammer home here for everyone is why wasn't the £5 million donation declared at the time? Why did Farage change his decision whether he was going to run or not after receiving it? Why did this explanation about you needed it for security? It was a gift, and then it became about security. Why did that only appear after scrutiny? And what did Harborne expect in return? And why is someone bankrolled by an offshore sugar daddy allowed to posture as a man of the people because he smokes cigarettes and drinks pints of beer? I bet he doesn't. I bet he throws the beer over his shoulder so someone else has to clean it up, of course, he's a twat like that. But I bet he does that, and he just has like a fucking very, very expensive wine. You know, this isn't just about being a bit dodgy. This isn't about filling a form out incorrectly. This is a quid pro quo of someone who's made their money through criminal means, associated with criminal means, which is funding a Russian war machine that is killing European men, women, and children every day. And he's made money out of this. Christopher Harborne's made money out of this. And he's chosen to spend that money on Nigel Farage. And Nigel Farage didn't declare it. And if you don't think that stinks to high heaven, if people out there can kind of make excuses for this, I don't know. I don't know. One of the things I hate the most about this country is the deference. Is this ridiculous thing that we do? We do it to the royal family all the time. The hereditary lords in the House of Lords. Oh, well, you know, they were born to do it. No, they fucking weren't. Craig David was. That's the only person who was born to do it. Everybody else, fuck off. Get some fucking talent. Show you can do that job. Stop clogging up all of the available slots for the powerful jobs, the well-paid jobs, the fun jobs. And they say, oh no, I did it on my own merit. You didn't get the interview on your own merit. You didn't get the audition on your own merit. You didn't get your first album production paid for on your own merit. I'm pretty sure that your parents fucking paid for that. Or your parents greased some palms, or made a phone call, or gave a phone call to the person who knew something about what they knew. I mean, the fact that Farage's version of events are in the Telegraph and nowhere else, like he won't talk to anybody else about this. You go to a sympathetic platform where you can frame the story, get your justification out there, you know, and soften the impact before any kind of harder reporting lands. And it's on the front cover of one newspaper today, but obviously the horrific attack in London yesterday in which 2 Jewish people were stabbed by a British national who was born in Somalia. And I hate this. I absolutely fucking hate the fact that my Jewish friends are living in fear of their lives right now. They won't wear the Star of David, the Magen David. They won't wear the skull cap when they're out and about because they're scared to. And there are many factors in this. The rise of anti-Semitism as something that the left can indulge in, a bigotry that the left can indulge in, is a huge problem. And I will not deny that. At the same time, another problem is Benjamin Netanyahu. And I'm not victim blaming here. Okay, this was not the people. The Jewish people in this country are innocent of any of the crimes of Israel. They're not responsible for what Netanyahu and his disgusting cabinet do, and the people he tells in the IDF what to do, who to kill, who to torture, who to sexually abuse. That's not on the Jewish people here. Netanyahu, as I keep saying, has made anti-Semitism a force to be reckoned with like we haven't seen in decades. He is the biggest fueler of anti-Semitism around the world. And as I keep saying, we have seen time and time again through history of what nations, rulers, despots are prepared to do to Jewish people when the Jewish people haven't really done anything wrong. And then you imagine what these people would do if they had half an excuse. And that's what Benjamin Netanyahu has given them, half an excuse. And now 2 Jewish people spent yesterday in intensive care because they were stabbed by a fucking lunatic who was buoyed up by the idea that by doing this horrific crime, he could get back at the government of Israel. And there's something really sinister in all this. And it's this, right? You're British, I assume, if you're watching this. There's one other country that you can go to now and live and work without having to ask permission, and that's Ireland. Okay? You are allowed to go to Ireland. If you go anywhere else and you don't have an Irish passport, for instance, or a European passport, like the German passports that Nigel Farage's kids have, or the Irish passport that Tommy Ten Names has, you can't go and live anywhere in Europe, anywhere in the EU. You're not allowed to do that. But if you're Jewish, you are allowed to go and live in Israel. So here's the through line here. And don't tell me that they haven't had a conversation around the table in the Knesset, not the Knesset, the cabinet in Israel, where Benjamin Netanyahu has said, we need more people. We need more Jewish people because there's not enough Jewish people. There's too many Palestinian people. There's not enough Jewish people. So what would be a really good way of getting people from all over the world to go to Israel to live? Well, if you're Jewish, you can get citizenship in Israel. You're allowed to go there. You don't need to have money in your bank account. You don't need to have somewhere to stay. You don't need to have anything. You just turn up. You just turn up. And then you can apply for citizenship. It's a process. But if you're Jewish, you can do it, right? So it makes sense for Netanyahu to stoke the fires of anti-Semitism in other countries around the world so that Jewish people here in the UK think, I don't feel safe here. I'm going to move to Israel where I'll feel safer. That is fucking evil. That is fucking evil. Using innocent Jewish people all over the planet as pawns in a sick game that Netanyahu is playing. I fucking hate him. Netanyahu, Trump, Putin, Farage. Multiple cheeks of the same fucking mutated, radioactive fucking arse. Wait, I can go to Ireland without a passport. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yep. Generally speaking, if you're going to fly, I think domestically you need some ID that is up to the level of a passport. But if you take the ferry from Liverpool over to Dublin, or from Birkenhead to it's Birkenhead to Dublin, isn't it? No, Birkenhead to Belfast, isn't it? Liverpool to Dublin. Yeah, that's right. Or from Anglesey. You shouldn't have to show your passport. Should be right. Martin can live, stroke move there. Yeah, you can. You can move to Ireland. It's a right that all British people have. It's a right that all Irish people have, is they can move to Britain without having to ask anyone's permission. They can just come over. We have and this has gone on for years. I mean, technically speaking, under the law, the only foreigners who are not regarded as aliens under the law, little green men, are Irish people. You've got an Irish. If you're from Ireland, you can move here. And yeah, the Northern Ireland is UK and an open border. Yeah. So yeah, I've got friends who are moving to Ireland because of transphobia. Ireland is a lot more progressive. If Farage got in as an actual fucking force to be reckoned with as a prime minister or something in this country, I think a lot of people are going to be like, fuck this, let's go to Ireland. But yes, I am really, really, really. I'm not surprised by this story. I'm angry at the fact that this happened. He got away with it thus far. And I'm angry at the fact that no one's going to be talking about it today. Part of that is because, yes, there was a horrific, racially motivated stabbing yesterday in London. A terrorist attack, let's call it what it is, a terrorist attack on a community that already is feeling like they are under constant attack, which is unfair, absolutely unfair, in the same way that it would be unfair to attack a Muslim woman wearing a hijab after 9/11. Nothing to do with her. Nothing to, she's walking down the street in Croydon. Nothing to do with her. I find the Israeli problem very informative, as it informs me just how long it can take to go from oppressed to oppressor. Only 2 generations is truly horrifying. Well, I mean, people are people. Humans are humans, and they fall for the same shit over and over again. Make people think that there's someone out to get them. And then obviously, there'll be a small percentage of any group on the planet. There's a small percentage of WI who are fucking serial killers. Do you know what I mean? And then we can turn around and go, look, the Women's Institute, it's full of serial killers. They're all like that. You only need one person in a particular group or organization or religion or nation to do something truly horrible. And the right-wing populist scum can say, look, this one person represents what all of these people are doing. And then off the back of that, you can make monsters leaders and give them unlimited power to do monstrous things. Stabbed in the back theory, stabbed in the back conspiracy. That's how the Nazis got to power. And yeah, there are humans are humans. They're easily swayed. We don't always think logically. We think emotionally a lot of the time. That's usually when I'm having a debate with Phil about anything on the agenda. It's usually down to me giving an emotional response and saying a lot of people will have an emotional response to this, Phil, and Phil's like, no, this is a dictionary definition. I'm like, yeah, I understand the technical limitations of the definitions or whatever we're talking about, but most people don't give a fuck about politics, and most people who do give a fuck about politics let their emotions rule their decisions. And they find time and time again, when you dissect the brains, although it's very difficult, you need very small scalpels, of people who vote right-wing, you find that they have a enlarged amygdala. It's a part of your brain that is pumping out fear. These people live in a permanent state of confusion and fear. And you can tap into that. And that's not unique to people in this country who vote for refuck. It's all over the world. All over the world you can do it. Find an outgroup, find a scapegoat. I mean, the concept of a scapegoat goes back to Judaism from 2,000, 3,000 years ago, where all the sins of the village was put on a goat and then it was kicked out into the wilderness. A scapegoat. Literally a goat. That's why we have the word. Chrissy, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. The thing is, will Farage face any form of punishment for failing to declare the 5 million donation, or will he be left with a slapped wrist? Thanks for the super chat, Chris. And I want him to go to jail for this. If it was you or me, we will go to jail. That's it. End of story. We will go to jail and we would never be allowed to run a business or to get involved in politics ever again. But this is a very, very well-connected, privately educated spider in a web of fucking gobshites. And Farage is a spider right in the middle of it. He's a revolting, truly vile, evil human being who is just out to make money. It's the only reason he's in politics, to make money. Here you go. I'll £5 million. Get into politics. Okay, then. Put yourself forward as an MP. Oh, do I have to go to my constituency and do a surgery? Nah, fuck that. Do I have to go to Parliament and actually listen to the debates? Ah, fuck that. No. You just go on telly now and again. Go on GB News. Get money off GB News for going on GB News. Get money from this Dubai-owned fucking news station. And spit out your own brand of fucking divisive bullshit, divisive rhetoric designed to turn neighbours against neighbours, to turn this country into people who hate this country. A nation of people who hate this country. I don't want to go down the route of America, you know. And we've got to try and, I can say one thing I hate about this country, but I don't hate this country because that's the way that America's gone. They did a survey all around the world, over 100 countries. They surveyed them and said, "Do you hate Americans?" And a lot of people said yes, but a lot of people said no. What was the country that had the highest percentage of people when asked if they hate Americans? America. Does that surprise you? Didn't surprise me. I don't want the same thing happening here. But Farage is trying to make that happen here. He's trying to make people on the left, people on the left hating the country because of the right, and the people on the right hating the country because they're told to by the people on the right. Okay. So, where are we? You could be a locksmith, L. We're going to go over to the papers now, and trigger warning. There are some images of the guy who attacked two Jewish people yesterday. I think the cover, when I checked earlier, the cover of the Mail was censored. I'll just double check that before I bring it on the screen. Yeah, it's censored. Okay, so there shouldn't be anything too bad on here, but I just want to show some of the most fucking ridiculous shit that is on these fucking papers at the moment. I mean, we'll start with the Daily Star there with this picture of Trump with a gun. It's no more Mr. Nice Guy. What a fucking asshole. And then we've got this first pick of knife suspect, terror on Brit streets. A knife man stalked and stabbed two Jews within 4 minutes in a bloody rampage near a London synagogue. We've got the story there about Farage, but notice obviously it's been pushed over to one side because of this other story. But he's in a £5 million probe. Going over to the Times, more ridiculous stories. Fabulous, not frumpy. Queen of Bling. Wows. Sorry, what? Queen of Bling. Wows. What the fuck? What? Is this Times newspaper? Is it for children? I don't know. And then we've got Caitlin Moran's Celebrity Watch, because we need to watch celebrities, because that's what we need to do. It's not like we watch celebrities every time we watch the TV or movies or anything. We need to keep a watch on them. Can we keep an eye on what Farage is doing? I think that's more important. Dark 4x4, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Depeche Mode people are people who should be played anytime Trump and Farage appear. It just takes a while to travel from your brain to your fist. Thanks for that 4x4. Thanks for the super chat. Anyway, UK anti-Semitism out of control after Jews knifed. Rayner ready to challenge Starmer after local elections. And then in the news, University free speech, a record fine against the University of Sussex for breaching free speech has been overturned on appeal. Good. Breaching free speech. What the fuck? Breaching free speech by not letting anyone who wants to turn up and call everyone watching a gang of cunts. Not letting them do that. I'm sorry, but I have no right to go into an institution, go into a pub, and then read off a screen of how much of a gobshite the landlord is and how Ming and his wife is. I mean, or her wife or whatever. That's not right. That's not fair. They can turn around to me and say, "Get the fuck out my pub and never come here again, you barred," which would be fair enough. Be absolutely fair enough in this situation. But apparently universities can't do that, even though they're supposed to be independent money-making machines that aren't taking money from the government for things like paying for tuition. Sit down, Diz, says Martin Harrow, because Martin Harrow has given the 5th of 5 super chats, which means he's unlocked the most wonderful thing imaginable, the confetti cannon. 3, 2, 1, confetti! We did it!
I am the great cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
I need confetti for my bunghole.
Are you threatening me?
Okay, we're gonna just get that going again. Okay, so we've got a royal ribbing in the US, dodgy high street shops, half of convenience stores, and a quarter of fast food takeaways are linked to organized crime. Doesn't surprise me. Iran choking like pig. What? President Trump said the US would continue its blockade of Iran, which was choking like a stuffed pig. The fuck? He's tapping into that conspiracy theory that if you buried a Muslim with a pig, that they couldn't go to heaven or something bullshit like that. It's an Islamophobic trope, but there you go. Microsoft eases fears. Microsoft reported faster third quarter sales. Okay. Stalemate in Spain. Arsenal were held to a 1-1 draw in the first leg of the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. Okay, cool. Terror on our streets. 2 Jewish men. This is on the Mirror here. Sickening anti-Semitic attack. 2 Jewish men stabbed before passers-by and police stop maniac. And then we had these attacks are an attack on Britain itself. Golders Green MP Sarah Sackman speaks for all right-minded citizens after the latest sickening anti-Semitic terror on our streets with 2 Jewish men stabbed. Really fucking grim. And then it censored I didn't do that. They've censored it themselves. The Daily Mail. Their anti-Semitism is out of control in the UK. Warns Israel. Bit rich coming from the government of Israel. That the government of Israel that is causing a lot of the anti-Semitism that we're seeing right now. Doesn't say causing. Sorry, can I change that? Contributing massively towards the anti-Semitism that we're seeing. Jew hate out of control in the UK. This is the Telegraph. Your tumble dryer is about to be banned by Miliband. Fuck off. Farage's home firebombed as he reveals 5 million security fund. Look at the way that is. Look at the way that story there put me head. Farage's home firebombed as he reveals 5 million security fund. Perfectly rational for him to be given 5 million. There's a perfectly rational explanation for everything. He was firebombed and he would never be able to take his personal safety for granted. Because, there might be milkshakes and shit. That is that headline there. When we talk about the chumocracy, when we talk about the old boys club that runs Britain, this guy's been given £5 million, but the headline focuses the first 3 words, Farage's home firebombed. Oh, that sounds awful. Oh, the poor man. And a completely separate story. He was given £5 million by a Thai-based offshore billionaire who profits from the Russian war machine. And he reveals his £5 million security fund. The way that headline is fucking written in this piece of shit cunt rag, they're called the Telegraph, right? Sounds like he's decided that he's going to spend $5 million on his own security after having his house firebombed, and that seems fairly reasonable. He reveals No, it was the Guardian who revealed this $5 million that was given to him by fucking Christopher Harborne. What a piece of shit. And everyone who writes for the Telegraph as well. What absolute pieces of shit. Burnham, Labour must change course. Well, that's, whatever. And then we've got Morecambe and Wise being sunshine again, but maybe they're being resurrected by voodoo. I don't know. Using voodoo. Borrowing costs hit the highest level since 1998. As oil prices surged to nearly $120 per barrel. So all these people are like, I like Trump because he tells the truth. I like Trump because he tells the woke people to fuck off. Yeah. Good luck paying your mortgage. Actually, the people who vote for Trump don't have fucking mortgages, do they? Farage they've either paid it off because they're old or they live in a fucking trailer. Farage was given £5 million by crypto billionaire with links to Russia. Can we get the links to Russia in the headline? No? Okay. Terror attack on UK Jews foiled by police and hero bystanders. Which time and time again we talk about, I've got friends who are kind of a little bit, what if everyone starts killing each other and what if the economy goes shit to shit and it turns into a zombie apocalypse type situation and we've all got to hide in bunkers and stuff. And I think this is something that follows around people who have a high level of paranoia, which I don't. I'm not paranoid at all. If I was, I wouldn't have visited every country in the world without flying on my own on a shoestring budget. But I've got friends who are very, very paranoid. I think they're paranoid because of certain narcotics they may have taken in the past or still take. I don't know. But one of the big fears that a lot of people have is that at some point there's going to be a lack of food or there's going to be a lack of money or there's going to be a lack of whatever, sanitation, and everyone's going to turn on each other and we're going to start killing each other and we'll have to barricade our homes and stop the zombie apocalypse, they won't actually be zombies, they'll be other humans trying to come in and nick our stuff, right? Never happens. Never fucking happened. Never in the history of the fucking world. Even a civil war, things haven't descended into a situation where the zombie apocalypse has come. People band together, villagers band together, towns band together, humans band together in disaster situations. When something horrible is happening, people will step up. They just do. It's an innate human quality. It's an innate as knowing that murder is wrong and having that unsettling feeling when you're causing pain or injury to another human being. The only people who are free of those kind of feelings are the cooking gobshites who are the psychopaths and sociopaths, who we see quite a lot of in the newspapers, but not in everyday life, And although we have a long way to go, especially when it comes to women's safety and fighting the manosphere and the entitlement of men who feel they're entitled over women's bodies, etc., in situations where something bad has happened, whether it be a car crash or whether it be stabbing like this, people will step up every time. And if we ever do get to a situation where there's not enough food, we're not going to be shooting each other to get food because that never happens. It just doesn't. Humans don't do that. I know it's quite exciting to see in a TV show or a movie, and then when everyone turns into survivalists. But the reality is, that it's not the way humans react to these situations. Most humans are good. The vast majority of humans are good. Unfortunately, the minority of humans who are gobshites are pretty much spawning it for the rest of us. And they need to be called to account. Whether it's Nigel Farage taking £5 million off a crypto billionaire, or whether it's the entitled men of the manosphere going on websites where they plot how to rape their wives. That needs to be called out and it needs to stop. It needs to absolutely stop. And we've got to stop turning blind eyes to horrific things happening in our society because it was done by a certain person who seems to be beyond reproach. But you've got to imagine that the Telegraph sat down yesterday, these posh old twats sitting there smoking their posh cigars, drinking their fucking posh brandy, and they say, well, what are we going to do about this Nigel story? It's come out that he's been given £5 million by a crypto billionaire who made all of his money laundering money from, well, a lot of his money from laundering money from the tyrannical, authoritarian, imperialistic regime in Moscow. What should we do? What should we do about this? Well, what we'll do is we'll say that he needed it for security because his house got firebombed. Oh, brilliant. His house where he lives? Nah, just one of the many houses that motherfucker lives in. Owns, sorry, doesn't live in. One of the many properties he owns. because he's got a mate. He's got Sakunkrit, Sakunkrit, more like in Thailand. Chakrit Sakunkrit. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on. Who can just give him 20 houses. Here you go. Have 20 houses. Have the money to buy 20 houses. Isn't there a country where most young people can't get on the property ladder? We've got more and more people in their 20s, 30s, even into their 40s still living with their parents because they can't afford their own place. And Nigel Farage's sugar daddy, his offshore sugar daddy, gives him the equivalent of 20 houses. There you go. Here's 20 houses. So he can more effectively thump his brand of nationalism, patriotism, lies, debauchery, bigotry, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, you fucking name it. Farage is all of them. He's all of them plus, because he's a man who doesn't give a fuck about you or me or the pilot who saved his life. All he gives a fuck about is making money, making more money, more money for Nigel, because he is a fucking grifter, king grifter. And anyone who supports him, all they're doing is supporting him in that endeavor of making more and more and more money. And the problem with these very rich, very privileged, privately educated motherfuckers is that they will never have enough. We see this with Elon Musk, also privately educated. You see this with Trump, also privately educated. They do not understand the concept of having enough. They will always want more and more and more. You can never sate their hunger for riches. George only, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Is The Guardian the only impartial newspaper? Guardian's not impartial. The Guardian is far from impartial. No, there are no impartial newspapers. If you want to get your news straight off from the source, Reuters or Associated Press are pretty good for just getting the news without getting the opinion tacked to it. The BBC are supposed to be impartial, but they do stuff like they'll bury a story down below the fold, like this one about Nigel Farage, because it's not in their interest. They decide which stories to expose people to. We've seen over the last couple of weeks the BBC releasing stories that have generated more votes for refuck. They put out 3 different stories about asylum seekers claiming things that weren't true in order to claim asylum. 3 different stories. They did a hit piece on the Duchess of Sussex. They and they did and Harry. And they did a anti-net zero piece the other day. You know, singing from the Farage hymn sheet. So even the BBC, which is supposed to be by law impartial, by the BBC Charter, if it's been taken over by the old school chums of the Old Boys Network that runs this country, then we're in trouble. When you've got people like Robin Gibb, privately educated, of course, on the BBC, and the Director General, privately educated, of course, who all went to school, all played Wank on the Cracker with, Wank on the Biscuit with Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg and all these fucking gobshites. What you expect? And I hate that, because the BBC should be a trusted news source. And for a lot of people now, it isn't. They don't give a fuck about people on the right. They can fuck off. They've got their own. They're like nearly all the newspapers are right-wing. 80% of the media in this country is right-wing. They've got enough, all right? They've got enough exposure to the bullshit that they want to fucking lick. But when it comes to the BBC, we need to have really, really strong measures put in place. Labour should be doing this right now in order to make sure that what they put out is impartial. Maybe this is more like what happened in American Dad episode when Roger the Alien hounded the others for money, finding them with a herm. This is what Fromage did to his Asian boy. Yeah. Does Farage get pink champagne and bubble bath from his sugar daddies? Yeah, probably. Gets chipped in helicopters. I'm pretty sure of it. He flies around in a private jet. No one should have to hide their religion. Most people, I hope, are well intended. Yeah. I agree. £1.50. And one thing as well about Jewish people is they don't go around hassling me to join Judaism. Like, never once of any of my Jewish friends, and I have dozens of Jewish friends, never once has any of them said, have you considered converting to Judaism, Graham? Whereas my Christian friends, and I've got a lot of Christian friends, have at some point said, have you ever considered it? You know, they never asked that again after. They only asked that once. But you don't get people on the street corner of Liverpool or Durham or London screaming at you to join Judaism, become Jewish. It's not an evangelical sect. They don't try and get people on board. You're born into it, which is why it's arguably a race as well as a religion, because you're born into it. It's quite hard to be Jewish if your mother wasn't Jewish, for instance. So if your mum converted to Judaism, your dad was Jewish, and you're brought up Jewish, and you keep all of the Friday nights dinner with your family and all that kind of stuff. You put all that together, and you can be one day turn up to the synagogue and the rabbi will say, "I'm sorry, you're not really Jewish. Can't come to the synagogue anymore." Whereas in a Christian church, or even in an Islamic mosque, the people there are like, "Oh, okay, come join our party, come join our gang." Buddhists, same. In Hindus, same. You travel around India, Nepal, Bangladesh. People will be trying to pull you into their Buddhist temple or Hindu temple, or in Bangladesh, try and pull you into their mosque and say, "Come on, join in with the gang, join in with the fun." But Judaism doesn't do that. So, there's a part of me that doesn't have a huge problem with the fact that people go out and they want people to join their club. Okay, fair enough. The Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons might go door to door or set up a stall in town. But you don't get that from Jewish people. So people dressing Jewish, when you see Hasidic Jews with the payas, the curly sideburns, and the big hats and the string stuff around their waist, that's how people from that community dress. That's fine. Right? People shouldn't be scared of dressing like that, in the same way that people shouldn't be scared of wearing a cross of Jesus or a Star of David around their neck. If they're told that that's not part of the uniform, if they're doing a job, then sorry, that's not part of the uniform. But if you just walk into the shops, I think it's really sad that my Jewish friends don't wear aren't wearing things that make them visibly Jewish anymore, because Graham raised a very good point. I have only seen Christians-based religions pushing their variety of religion in public. No, not seen Jews or Muslims doing that. You do get Muslims doing it. Jews don't. I've seen Muslims doing it. Because don't forget, there's different sects of Islam. So you get people who are Sunni who try to get people who are Shiite to come over to Sunni, and vice versa. So yeah, Men at Arms is a fantastic book talking about Terry Pratchett. There you go. Oh, this is One Angry Pagan. And so the children of the revolution were faced with the age-old problem. It wasn't that you had the wrong kind of government, which is obvious, but that you had the wrong kind of people. Yeah. I often see Muslim groups offering free Qurans. That's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with people going about their daily life, as long as they're not upsetting people or threatening anyone. But if you feel that you can't dress how you normally dress, and if you are an Orthodox Jew and you're scared to go out now, leave your house because of the way you look, it's not as simple as taking off your necklace for them. My heart goes out to them, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault. This wave of anti-Semitism, which has multiple mothers and fathers, right? It's not just Netanyahu, but Netanyahu is a big fucking factor in this. A big factor. And then Jewish people in this country are in a bind because they support the concept of Israel. Of course they do. It's somewhere that they know they can go if things get really shit in here or wherever they live. If the pogroms start again, if the Holocaust starts again, they've got somewhere they can go. That is their haven. That is their refuge. That exists. That's why Israel exists in the first place. So when they're asked, do you think Israel should exist? Which we don't ask about any other country in the fucking world, but there you go. They say yes. And then suddenly they're tarred with the crimes of the current government of Israel, a country where they get no vote, a country in which they do not live. Do you support the right of Russia to exist? Well, yeah, I do actually. I support the right of Russia to exist. Don't support its right to invade Abkhazia and South Ossetia and the Donbass region of Ukraine and Crimea. But as an entity, yeah, okay, it exists. It's existed for a long time. Yeah. I don't agree with what it's doing, invading its neighbours and murdering people left, right, and centre. But I support Russia's right to exist. No one ever asked that about Russia. No one ever asked that about the United States of America. Or Cuba. Or Papua New Guinea. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's there. East Timor. Does East Timor have a right to exist? It's half an island, and yet it's a nation. You're gonna get all the geography people, the geographists. What do we call like fascist geography people who go, oh, but that particular part of the world is closer to this part than that part. So the part that it's closest to, that should own it. It's not the way it works, mate. Sorry, not the way it works. But yeah, so Jewish people in this country are in a terrible bind. All of my friends who are Jewish absolutely hate what is happening in Israel. They hate what's happening in Gaza. They hate Netanyahu. And it's not just because of what this absolute fucking criminal scumbag who runs Israel has done. It's also because of the effect that it's having on their lives. And they see it. They see it. They're like, fucking hell. Every time something horrific happens, they bomb a hospital. They torture suspects. They pass a law to say that we're bringing back the death penalty, but only for Palestinians. So a Jewish person committing the exact same crime won't be put to death, but a Palestinian will. And they're celebrating. They're wearing little golden noose pendant brooches, and they're popping off the champagne in the Parliament building because they get to kill and kill again. You know, oh, it's horrific. And every time that they go, a settler turns up in the West Bank and kicks down the door of someone who lives there and tells them to get out their own home and takes it over down the barrel of a gun, and then is supported by the Israeli state for doing that. Every time that you see footage of Israeli soldiers, I don't know, finding a statue of Jesus in Lebanon and then smashing it up with a fucking sledgehammer. That has a blowback effect on Jewish people living in this country. And I don't even know if the government of Israel have fucking acknowledged this. We've got a newspaper headline here of Israel saying that, oh, Britain's really anti-Semitic. I'm like, yeah, okay. We need to do something about that. We need to be better. We need to really help people who are Jewish and look after them and make sure that they feel safe in this country. But at the same time, what is massively fueling anti-Semitism, which never went away? I mean, in the 90s, my friends in school who were Jewish will go to the synagogue. They'll have security at the synagogue. This is in the late 90s. We were more concerned about the Good Friday Agreement. We were more concerned about, what was going on in at the time. I mean, there was what was going on in Sarajevo, in Bosnia Herzegovina, what was going on in Kosovo. The idea that people were going to go after Jewish people was a bit kind of like, really? Is that still happening now? But yeah, they needed security even in the 90s, even 30 years ago. they needed security, and now it's just got worse. So you got a group of people who are already targets for nutters who just want an excuse to hurt people. And that's all racism is. It's just an excuse for nutters to hurt people, to make them feel absolved of the sin, the crime of doing horrible things to another person, another human being. And they do it by demonizing these people, whatever group it is that they decide that they're going to demonize, say they're not really human, say they don't count, the rules don't count for them. You know, the social norms don't count, so you can be horrible to them, you can make them live in fear. But you look at what the rise in anti-Semitism in the last 10 years, and a huge factor in that has been the actions of the Israeli government, not pursuing peace, not trying to come up with a solution to the situation in between Israel and Palestine, not come up with a two-state solution, just a perpetual, never-ending war against people who have very little to start with, and people who are backed to the hilt by the biggest superpower on the planet, which is the USA. Diz, you don't need to apologize. It's fine. I'm trying to read. Just trying to read the messages. I live in Burton and we have a large Muslim community, but I don't see them out in public pushing their religious views onto others, says Chris C. I mean, if you sometimes do, and I'll tell you this now, there's a lot of times when you might not notice if you don't speak Arabic. You can't read Arabic. You just walk past the store. You just go on. But yeah, I mean, it's not. You don't have the same kind of Muslim missionaries that you have, in going out to other countries around the world and spreading the good word of Jesus. That's true. But there is a concerted effort for Muslim groups, especially like Islamic societies in universities around the country. Not necessarily to try and get too many converts, but they are very welcoming to anyone who does want to find out more about Islam, obviously. But I found that it was more to do with not just sort of like joining a particular mosque rather than another mosque, because one mosque might be Shia, one mosque might be Sunni. But also it's like kids who sort of stray from the path of Islam and they don't really follow the rules. Maybe they drink, maybe they do whatever, but they eat things that aren't halal. And there is a little bit of a push to bring young people who are nominally Muslim, culturally Muslim, I guess. Like, a lot of us are culturally Christians who were born in this country, whose parents were born in this country as well. And there's a bit of a push to get people to come, to come to synagogue, to come to the mosque, and to just not drink and to follow the rules of Islam. So yeah, but it's not to the same extent. I mean, if you want to pick one religion around the world that really does push itself on other people, on other cultures, on other religions more than anyone else, it's Christianity by a fucking mile. Which it totally is. But then again, I'm gonna defend Christians here, because if you believe what the Christian Bible tells you to believe, you are shitting on that everyone who's not a Christian, and not the right flavor of Christian as well, is going to burn in the fires of hell for eternity. So they're trying to be nice. They're trying to save everyone. I mean, I think they're wrong, but at least the heart's in the right place. And honestly, if it wasn't for the Jesuits in South America, I mean, the crimes that were committed by the Spanish in South America were horrific, absolutely horrific. But they would have been even worse if it wasn't for the Jesuits staying their hand and saying, "Can you stop doing that? Can you stop killing all the native people who live here? Can you stop?" Yeah. I put Jedi as my religion in the last census. I think everyone did that in 2001. That was a big thing, wasn't it? Everyone put down Jedi as their religion. There was a big, I don't know, what did we have back then? It wasn't social media, so it wasn't like a Facebook campaign. It was the equivalent of a Facebook campaign, and we put ourselves down as Jedi. But we do have a Church of Latter-day Saints standing outside Sainsbury's every day trying to palm off their material, and the Salvation Army has a spot in the shopping centre. Yeah. So yeah, I'll go back to the papers. Obviously, it's the same story on all of the papers, because this is a really shocking event that's happened in London, and at least a few of the papers have mentioned, look, the eye there has got Farage was given 5 million. And then we've got police declare terrorist attack after two Jewish men stabbed. And then the Guardian here, Farage was given undisclosed £5 million by billionaire in 2024. Right? That's pretty succinct. That is pretty succinct, right? And it gets to the point. It could make the point about, the Russia connection. But just as a bit of academic research, just look at that headline. Farage was given undisclosed £5 million by billionaire, right? And then compare that with how that same exact story is reported in the Telegraph there above my head. Farage's home firebombed as he reveals £5 million security fund. And same story, but look at how it's framed. And framing is so important when it comes to propaganda and the media, etc. Bittersweet, but my Theo saved 4 lives. The mother of a boy who died aged just 8 has told of his bittersweet legacy after his organs saved 4 other lives. That's a sad story. I think that is newsworthy. I think that's something that should be in the news. Should it be on the front page of the Metro? When, Nigel Farage has been given £5 million pounds to some shady fucking businessman in Thailand, and there's been a stabbing in North London. I mean, yeah. David Faulkner, thank you so much to David there for Ukrainians live here, Russians too. Unfortunately, they disagree, but they agree on one thing, and they want Trump to stay out of their affairs. Thank you very much, David. That's very, very, very kind of you for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. Do you know what? I'll tell you something. When I was a young boy, there was I went to Egypt when I was 20, and I was traveling around, and I learned quite quickly that the people who wanted to sell you stuff, the hawkers, they could speak loads of different languages, right? They could speak fluent English, German, French, Spanish, bit of obviously they spoke Arabic as well, and they were really good at it, like really, really good at it. The only language that they really didn't speak was Russian. The reason being, in the 90s, Russians didn't have any fucking money, right? so they didn't have any tourists coming from Russia. So you'd say niet, Ruski, and then they'll just leave you alone, right? 10 years later, I went back to Egypt in the end of 2009, and I realized quite quickly that pretending to be Russian so that the hawkers left you alone wasn't going to work anymore, because the Russians now had loads of fucking money, which some of them had made from being friends of Vladimir Putin or whatever. The burgeoning middle class of Russia, and there are a lot of Russians now running around Egypt and buying carpets or perfume or whatever the fuck it is that the hawkers are selling. So you couldn't say niet anymore. So I changed, and I decided to start speaking the language of Bib Fortuna, the Twi'lekese. So I'll be like, "De wana wanga, de wana wago." People are like, "What? What? Where are you from?" And I'm like, Toronto, Dosh. When C3PO is trying to translate stuff into Ewokese as well. So there's a kind of mix up with like different Star Wars languages. I'll just say, occasionally I'll do a little bit of Jawaese, which was Otini, which is like, they just looked at me like I was a complete weirdo. But I had to stop pretending to be Russian to stop the hawkers from bothering me, because the Russians now have money. So there you go. True story. Thanks very much to David Faulkner for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. We've got the Financial Times here. We've got the Starmer's reckoning could redraw politics, the King, US, and futility of growth. We've got Jewish targets stabbing seen as terrorism, which I think it is. I think it is because Jewish people are being terrorized. But I will say that I think a driving factor of that terrorism is coming from Israel. A factor. I'm not saying all the factors. Obviously, there are a lot of other things that go into it. But yeah. Oil price surges after Trump warns he does not want to lift blockade on Iran. Crude closes in on $120 a barrel. We just had breaking news there. It tops $126 a barrel after Trump warns Iran blockade could last for months. So I predicted over a month ago, well over a month ago now, that the oil price could go up to maybe $200 a barrel. I did say it could go as high as $200 a barrel. And it does look like it's on that trajectory. L, can you do a vegan elite raid? Yeah. What I'll do is, right, L, right? I'm not going to do it now because it means I have to faff around for like 2 minutes when I'm supposed to be presenting the show. Because it's quite difficult to find the right one. Because now it's not just Regan, but the other people. Anyone who's got an upcoming live, it comes up in my there's like dozens of different things that come up in my on my selection. So it's kind of hard to find the right one. So what I'll do is I'll quickly try and do that during the credits when I run the credits of the show. So L, could you do me a massive favor, right? When it's obvious I'm about to close up the show and I'm saying goodbye, ta-ra, hello, whatever. Quickly text and say, don't forget vegan elite raid, and I'll do it during the credits. So hopefully by the end of the credits, I'll have it set up and you'll be taking it automatically over to there. I went to Egypt in 2009. The locals didn't like the Russians. Yeah, I didn't say that, Harry Flashman, but you're absolutely right. Hardly a young boy when you're 20. I was young. Is it worth taking out the ground at $200 a barrel? Surely everyone will switch to electric cars then. Well, you'll think. Well, you know, we were talking about on Tuesday. Me and Ollie were talking about OPEC and the fact that the UAE is left. So the UAE can now sell because there's a cartel. They all agree, even though they should be rivals. They all agree to work together to make sure that they keep the price down. At a certain level, a price at a certain level, without them all undercutting each other. UAE is going to undercut. They're just going to undercut. They're going to go, well, you want it for, they're selling it for $126 a barrel. We'll sell it to you for $120. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think we all do need to switch to electric cars, although it's a bit out the price range of a lot of people because they're fucking expensive. But yeah, so Trump, twat. What can I say? And remember to remind me at the end, L. Briefing, UBS profits surge 80% as Iran war whips up markets. Strong trading and client activity, fueled by market volatility, has lifted the Swiss bank's quarterly net profit to $3 billion. Quarterly. The amount of money these institutions are making is just hideous. Reeves remains defiant. The Chancellor has shrugged off Tory claims that she will be toast in a cabinet reshuffle. Heathrow runway doubt sovereign wealth fund. The Chinese investment corporation is considering the sale of its stake in the London hub, partly because of concerns over the rising cost of building a third runway. When can we ever build something like an infrastructure project where it doesn't go over budget and over time? Can we just do that at least once? I think did they do that with in London with the extension to the Northern Line? That came in on time and on budget, didn't it? To where they put an extra tube line into all the way to the American embassy for some reason. Funded insurance curbs. The Bank of England's Prudential Regulation Authority has clamped down on the use of complex offshore financing. Bank silences Claude. Goldman Sachs stopped its bankers in Hong Kong from using Anthropic's AI models. Alarm at salmon decline. The number of wild salmon caught in Scotland fell 41% last year, the lowest reported figure since records began. Fucking hell. That is a big fucking worry. That's because of climate change and pollution in the water, shit and microplastics. Walsh, closer to Fed chair Kevin Walsh's nomination to be the Fed's next chief has been backed by the Senate Banking Committee. Good luck, America. And then Purdue payouts closer. The oxycontin maker has been ordered to pay out more than $8 billion to resolve a case over defrauding the US government. A ruling that will allow payments to start flowing by those hurt by its opioids, the pandemic, the epidemic, the opioid epidemic that it fueled. So there you go. There's a gas leak close to Farringdon Station after passengers reported feeling unwell. Oh dear. Infrastructure projects made on time and on budget keeps the Tories out of government. Yep. The new B-21 stealth bomber is on schedule and under budget. It can be done. Oh, that's good. Good to know we can stealthily bomb things. Let's just spend all our money on drones. I think that would be probably better use of our money at the moment. $200 a barrel means a clean Venice, as in 2020. I don't know. A clean Venice. Well, I hope so. I mean, you don't need motors on those boats, do you? You just need a punt. Is it a punt? Breaking news: the Home Secretary has announced that a new terror-like law to ban state-backed groups and individuals will be unveiled on the 13th of May. This is to do with this will be in the King's Speech. This is to do with the fact that the Revolutionary Islamic Guard, or whatever the fuck it's called, of Iran, isn't a sanctioned group because of some loophole that means that they can't sanction it in the same way they can do with state-backed individuals. They can't do state-backed groups in the same way. So they're going to tighten up the rules on that, which is, the right thing to do, I think, in this case. Especially when Iran is putting out, or the Iranian government is putting out adverts saying, "Oh, come and be a martyr. Come and be a martyr for Iran." I don't think that's something that we should be really pushing for. There you go. So yeah. Fucking hell. I'm seeing a thing here that Max has posted about reform in Scotland, right? Reform in Scotland is a movement of ordinary, decent, hard-working Scots who are fed up with mediocrity. Okay, so that's the headline there. That's the post from Refuck UK Scotland, the official account. There it is. There it is for all to see. And as Max then points out, this guy here has 6 houses, 5 cars, and 6 boats, but is on the side of the working class. These people, these fucking people. Why are you going into politics? Why are you doing this for money? Money, 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 money. I like money. I want more money. Give me all your money. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching this morning. Yes, Elle, I need the reminder. Thank you very much for watching the show this morning. I hope I've been informative and entertaining and the right level of, bonhomie with a little bit of fucking righteous indignation at the gobshites running this country into the fucking ground and turning British people against British people for no good reason other than money. It all comes down to money. These motherfuckers just want money. I just want money. Money, 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 money. Money and racism, says Diz. Yeah. Money and racism. That's the only reason they go into politics. Farage has said the Jewish community has seen no action of any kind from the Labour government when it comes to stamping out anti-Semitism in the UK during a visit to Golders Green. That's a fucking lie. That's an absolute fucking lie. I mean, Starmer did a great job of stamping out anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. No longer do we hear the shrill call of, but it's only 0.1% of the membership who are being anti-Semitic. I'm like, yeah, it's only 0.00001% of people who commit murders in this country. They're still fucking murderers. Don't want them part of my organisation. Stop trying to diminish the murder of people. You can do anything with stats, can't you? Money is the root of all evil. Well, yeah, greed. I'll say greed. Greed is the root of all evil. because these people's appetite for riches is insatiable, and they can never have enough. Lost in space, just follow the greed. Indeed. Thank you very much for the super chats today. Really appreciate that. Now, I'm going out tonight. I'm going to go see Ash. They're playing in Sunderland. So if you're in Sunderland, come along to the gig. It'll be good. But otherwise, I might do a show this afternoon to just one more show before the end of the month, if I can. And so please look out for that. And the way you look out for that, well, first of all, right, you've got to like this video. That's very important. You've got to unlock things by liking it. Then you've got to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you are already subscribed, or you just subscribed, hit the bell notification icon, and that'll let you know when I go live. So it might be like 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. I might do a little one-off show for you if you want to join me for that. But in the meantime, I'll say thank you so much for watching. And until we meet again, my friends, I'll definitely be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, whether we do a show this afternoon or not. I'll say thank you so much for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Oh, and also say hello to Vegan Elite for me, because I'll take you over there. If you keep watching, you'll be taken over to Vegan's channel. So take care. Bye-bye.